This will be very briefly explaining what the maintenance platform is, which Miroslav already gave a brief overview of it. So I won't be taking much time because, well, first of all, the maintenance browser contains multiple things. One is various browsers and coding tools that shows some content, but also translation platform and proposal platform. The last two will be presented by other colleagues. A proposal will be Karin, and a translation platform from our colleagues from Czechia who has worked on this. I will therefore talk a little bit about why do we have a browser in the maintenance platform, how different it is from the browsers that we have seen in terms of their content. So to understand that, we need to understand the concept of the releases that we have in ICD level. So we make a release of the classification once a year, and we started this starting from 2018, and we released one new version with some updates every year. We also added more languages in every release and hoping to have the Czech version coming in the next release, and also Slovak version soon as well. They are both in pre-release. We also have other pre-releases like German, Uzbek, Portuguese. They are in the pre-release stages, so we will be having them as releases hopefully soon. Now, while we have these releases once a year, and before we release, we check the content, everything is in place, all the proposals that have been accepted have been properly implemented, there is no conflict in the classification and all that. So we go over a thorough check of what's going on and whether we are ready to release, and then we make these releases. On the other hand, in the Orange platform, in the maintenance platform browser, we see a daily snapshot of what is in the classification. For example, when a proposal is accepted, our colleagues at WHO might go there and actually implement that proposal, and then that will appear in the browser that day. We may still want to make some adjustments later during the year. Therefore, this is not an official version of the classification. So it's very important to note the Orange coding tool or the Orange browser are not to be used for actual coding. And here is a comparative of the release versions and the daily versions. So the release version is, of course, for the end users of the classification, and it is ready for being used in real world coding. And we have one release per year, and old releases continue to be available. So you do not need to update to the new version the day we release it. You can always continue to get access to one version that you stick, and then when you feel ready for your country, you may jump to another release. So we keep all the historical releases accessible through our APIs as well as through our tools. Daily versions, on the other hand, is for developers, maintainers, and contributors of the and the translators of the classification. So our proposal system, when you go in there, it will show the latest version so that the proposals, the author of the proposal sees the latest snapshot and proposes the changes according to that. Mm-hmm. Similarly, the translators see the latest content so that they can catch up with the translation, not necessarily wait until we make a new release. They can already during the year catch up with the translations for the content that has changed within that year. And our translation tool has some features to show what has changed and what needs to be translated. And of course, very importantly, this daily version should not be used in real world coding of cases. So the Orange version is available from the maintenance platform, both the browser and the coding tool. We even have an API that you could access. We don't advertise it not to confuse the users and make them use this unwantedly. But if for some reason there is a need to access the daily version of the API, we can provide access to that. Now I will jump to another concept, which is not directly linked to the maintenance platform. It's somehow linked because we always talk about, the foundation, which is the underlying large terminology, and then the linearization, which is the classification that we have. Since we show the foundation only in the maintenance platform, sometimes that association is made that foundation is only for the maintenance platform. Actually, for those who get access to the API, you will see there's also foundation in every release of the classification. But having said that, I will explain a little bit what is the foundation for those who haven't seen this, and how linearizations or the actual classification with codes is related to that. So the foundation is the common terminology for all WHO-FIC classifications. So it's not only for ICD, we also have ICF and ICHI coming to the foundation. Currently, you may see them in the maintenance platform. They are not released, therefore you won't find them in the release content. The foundation is different in its structure. For example, it allows multiple parenting. In a proper classification, as you would know as classification experts, one category belongs to one location. So there is just one parent. So you need to decide whether the stomach cancer is under digestive system diseases or under neoplasms, and that decision is made. In the foundation, however, we don't need to make that decision. So it's a terminology, therefore it allows this multiple parenting. And it gives us more information about the content. And the detail, of course, is much more than ICD-10 or the ICD-10 MMS for that matter. As I mentioned, ICF and ICHI can also be derived from this foundation, and also other linearizations. Miroslav earlier this morning showed the dermatology linearization. This is also something not released, but our foundation has the capability of hosting multiple classifications, some related to MMS like the dermatology, or some totally unrelated like ICF and ICHI. Not totally unrelated because they share the same foundation, and some aspects even for those classifications are shared. For example, the anatomy detail that you can use in ICHI is shared by the anatomy that you can use in the ICD-11. In the foundation, we don't have codes, and the reason is obvious. We can host multiple classifications, and they may require different code systems. And also, foundation has more content than the classifications. Therefore, we have more detail. We also need identifiers at every level. For example, in the classifications at higher levels, we don't have codes, but to become a proper ontology or terminology, we need identifiers at every level. Therefore, we have this new identifier, which you may have heard as URIs. They are unique identifier, and they stay stable as long as this particular concept's meaning is not changed. We never change the URI of that entity. So it's even more stable than codes. Codes, even though this doesn't happen much, might change if, because of some reason, we may want to move a category from one chapter to another one because of some scientific findings and things like that. That will change its code because the ICD-11 code, by its nature, is hierarchical, and it needs to kind of conform with the code of the parent. So when you move, you have to make a change. As I said, this won't happen much because we really care about the stability of the classification, but it might happen. It certainly happens within releases from 10 to 11, for example, whereas URIs will be much more stable in that case. Now, the linearizations, again, these are derived from foundation. So the actual content, we edit in our authoring platform, we just edit the foundation, and there we select which ones go to this MMS, for example, or ICHI or ICF for that matter. And then one needs to decide where this category will be located in the actual classification. So in the stomach cancer case, we select that this will go to the neoplasms chapter, not to the digestive systems chapter. And every entity is mutually exclusive from each other, which is you all know, is a very important classification feature. And it also contains the residual categories. In the foundation, we don't have this other specified something or unspecified and things like that. They don't belong to the concept of a ontology, but they are needed certainly in the linearization. Therefore, during the linearization generation, we add these things in the locations where they are needed. So here is an illustration of our foundation, and as you see this blinking part, if you can see, one entity has two parents. So note that, which is not a part of a classical classification. And then let's say these flashing ones are the details that you don't want in your classification because it's too detailed and you don't want very long codes. Therefore, we put a shoreline, we say after this level we don't want in the classification, but we still keep in the foundation. So how do we generate the linearization from it? We actually get the part that we are interested in, and then we add residuals to the locations where we need. And then when we cut the multiple parent, for example, think again about the stomach cancer, and this link was linking the stomach cancer to the digestive diseases. So there we still have a linkage. When you are in the digestive diseases or, for example, skin diseases, you will have a link which will say, well, neoplasms of the skin, for example, which will take you there, but they will not have the code of a skin disease. They will have a code of the neoplasm, but there will still be that linkage, and the classification will be proper as before, but it will have more information on it. And then all the detail that we have in the foundation are still searchable from our tools, and they are kind of index terms as we use them in the ICD-10, for example. So when you look up for some of those details, you will still get the correct linearization code, but you will also get more detail about the URIs of those entities, if for those who want to have that level of detail in their codes, collected codes. So this is the overall explanation from my end, and if there are questions, we can take it, or we can continue with the other tools that we have in the maintenance platform.